Yo, what's going on, guys? Bep here. This is a Clone Tools 2.0 tutorial. I'm going to do a start to finish for you guys so you can see everything, how it works, the ins and outs. This is going to be a longer form video, right? If you want to just have fun, just go have fun, right? Maybe follow the first couple minutes so you can see how to install it. But after that, just have fun and experiment. You don't need to know everything about how this works. It is an experimental plugin. We want you guys to experiment with it and have fun with it and just be creative. Blender, you need version 3.2 or higher. Okay, so that's step one. Get Blender from blender.org. Okay, so Blender 3.2 or higher installed. Now let's go install Clone Tools, right? 2.0. So hit edit, hit preferences. This will pop up. Click on add-ons. You need the folder location that you have Clone Tools 2.0 in. I just clicked over here and I'm going to copy this data, right? I'm going to hit install. I'm going to paste in that location. Click on Clone Tools 2.0, hit install. It's going to do this little thing right here. I'm going to hit the check. Now it's turned on. Hit the little X right here. There's a little arrow right here, really small little arrow that my mouse is on right now. If I click on it, it opens up this side menu, right? If you can't see it or it's not clicking, just hit the letter N. The N is a shortcut key to get that to, pop up and go away. And you're going to see Clone Tools on the side over here. Boom! Clone Tools installed. Check. Now you need your clone files, okay? So, clone next to RTFKT.com. Go to it. Log in with your MetaMask. You basically can get it wrong, right? Click on your clone or the clone you want to download. Hit 3D files. Hit request files. And then that's going to download into whatever folder that you pick. So pick a folder that you can remember, just like how you did with Clone Tools, right? And then leave them zipped up. Actually, for the rest of the video, you don't need to download anything and unzip it. You can just leave everything zipped. We built unzippers inside the plugin, so you don't have to do that part, right? Anyway, I'm going to click on this, copy this location with all my clone files inside. Go back to Blender, hit open clone 3D files, paste that location in here, all my zips right here, hit select location, take a step back and talk to you guys while it's loading. This takes 1 to 2 minutes. It's doing a lot of things. It's unzipping, it's rigging, it's applying textures, doing your DNA, setting up the room, pose mode. It's making it very easy for you to start working. I pretty much recommend even to Blender users, just use Clone Tools. It builds your clone and rigs it for you in a minute or two. If you are brand new and maybe you don't want to learn everything about Blender, we made it very simple for you to experiment with. Okay, so all you need to do is really get to this menu right here and you are free to have as much fun as you want because all the controls are pretty much right here. Okay, so this is your zoom, left click, just drag in and out. I dragged in way too much. Let's say you do that too, and you're like, oh my god, what the heck happened? If anything happens and you are lost, all you need to do is click on the camera. The camera, it'll break away from the camera if you were already in the camera, but if you hit it again, it goes back to the camera, okay? So then you can zoom back out. So if any time you're like, you're working, you're having some fun, you did something, and you're like, what the heck? Camera. Boom, you're locked back in. Adjust your zoom again, you're locked in. Maybe you don't like working in this view. That's what your move tool is for, right? So you click on move it around. Oh, I accidentally zoomed. Zoom out a little bit, move a little bit, zoom a little bit. Oh, I accidentally broke the camera. Lock back into the camera, move. Everything you need is right in this area here. And if you want to, look around a little bit, you absolutely can use this compass too. This compass is not just to look pretty. You can left click on it and just drag it around and look all around the world in your character. And if you want to go back, just hit the camera and you're back in the camera. You can also do it with your mouse by, if you scroll wheel, you can move this around. And shift scroll wheel is the hand basically. Right? Okay, I think I spent long enough on that. Features. Let's go style. This is where it gets really fun in my opinion. This is what makes Clone Tools 2.0 the 2.0 version of what it is. When you open the style menu, you're going to notice a key difference from Clone Tools 1, and if you haven't used it, then just enjoy, right? So this version, on loading your clone, it renders images of your clone's traits and gives you visual examples of what your clone's traits look like. It is super nice. And then you have also this cool little view snap button, so you can just quickly snap to that part of your clone to check it out. And if you want to go back, remember, camera. There you go. You're back. Okay? But the first question you're going to have is, what the heck is this style library, right? So the style library is this really cool, fun feature that allows you to share your clone files, import other clone files. Yeah, it's super fun. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to click on this folder location, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it in the same place. I'm going to save it in the same place as where my clone files are. You don't have to. This is completely optional. You can make a new folder. Just call it clone style library, whatever. But I'm just going to hit accept. And then that's the style path that I'm choosing. When it creates style library, it's done. Okay. Now that it's saved there, I'm going to show you that folder with our clone files, and you're going to notice a key few things have happened. Let's break that down really quickly. So before you open the Clone Tools and you load your phone, you had only your zip files, right? And now you have a bunch of things. You're like, what is this? Blender assets and Clone Tools, Blender file, and all of this. This is right here. These are your unzipped files. It unzipped it for you, and then that's how it built your clone. This is a little text document that we use to reference. There's some notes in here. But basically, it's all of the traits that are in your clone. And yeah, this is the project file that you're currently in. And it just saves automatically. And then this is your style library that we just created. And you're going to notice there's another assets. And this is a notes of what's the same thing, but in a style library. Right? And why did I tell you all that? Because of this key feature right here. When you open your style library by hitting this button, a side menu pops up. You can now drag this side menu open just to get a double column. You can actually do this over here on the right too if you want at any time. You can just make as many columns as you want. Depending on how wide your screen is, how much real estate you have to work with, you may or may not like it. It's dependent on you. But this is what's super cool. Upon loading your clone with the Open Clone 3D files, it scans all of your traits, it reads all the names of your traits, it automatically categorizes them. So on this left over here, it automatically looked through all the data and went, okay, that's a DNA file. These are eyebrows. Those are eyes. I don't have any tattoos. That's hair. I don't have any like mouth, like a grill or anything. Halo's an accessory. I don't have any back. These are my clothes. No glasses. Those are my shoes. Nothing on my head, like what would be in your head wear? A hat, yeah. And I don't have a necklace. And it does this automatically, puts it all in one place, and then it gives you that cool little style library here. And you can actually take this and you can send this to a friend and share it, or open this yourself with import new style library, this button, and you can load other people's style libraries or your own style library from a different clone, and all of their traits are going to populate in here, and then now you can do some cool mixing and matching, right? Now you can mix and match multiple clones all in this one little area. It's super nice, very convenient, right? You want to share your clone with a friend, you don't want to give them all your crazy files because it's like 2 gigabytes of stuff. You can just style library it. Boom, here you go. Very quick, very easy. And then now we'll go into how this feature works. Okay, so I have all of these different traits here. If I don't want to wear, let's say, the shoes, you just hit remove. The shoes are gone. It unequips it. But then maybe I change my mind and I want to put the shoes on. You go over here to your style library, which is basically like your closet. Right click and hit equip. And now it's on your character again. And that's it. It's super simple. Remove stuff, equip stuff. You want to share stuff, you create a style library. Oops. You want to share stuff, you create a style library, and you import new style libraries from other people. What's also cool is this import new style also supports GLB. Go it really is the GOAT here because he created majority of these features. He developed it, right? So he also threw in the GLB portion, which I think is super cool, right? When you hit GLB and you hit OK, it's going to ask you for a folder location. I have one prepped here, and this, all that's in here is a GLB file of the deity arms. So I'm going to go to that location. I'm just using this as an example. If I select this file here, it gives you an automatically rendered visual example here, and it gives you an asset category, and you can say that this is a wearables for your back, right? And I'm going to hit OK. Boom, it's done. It did it all automatically for you, and it's rigged to this character. And then if I go over here and I go to, well, if I hit all, look, there it is, the deity arms. And if I don't want it on my character, I just scroll down over here. I see it here, it populated, right? Hit remove. There you go. Even if your friends have GLBs, or let's say another company makes 3D files for your clone, you can just import and use the GLB instead of using a style library. It's built in to support style libraries created from Clone Tools and GLB files, right? And it rigs to your character. Also, if you don't want this menu open anymore, you're like, I'm done equipping stuff. What, can we just put it away? Yeah, we can. But be careful with it. To put it away, you need to put your mouse up in this corner, not this corner, this corner, the corner of this menu, and drag that into the other one, and it gets rid of it. And if you want to take it back out, hit Open Style Library. That is the official Blender way of getting rid of panels. Let's now go into part 2 of the big changes for Clone Tools 2.0. Posing and animating, okay? If I click on Switch to Pose Mode, you're going to see by default, it looks a little bit different. We have like a default female, default male, and a T-pose, right? Because the default's actually an A-pose, but most places also use a T-pose. So we have that built in as an option, right? Okay, anyway. With Clone Tools, it automatically comes with a huge pack of male poses. And if you use Clone Tools 1 or 1.1, it already had this in here, but we categorized it into 2 just because they were already pre-categorized by Adobe Mixamo, which is where these come from, because they're free to use and commercial free as well. So we just split them up into the categories that they were split up in by Adobe, because we thought it just made sense, okay? And it's just easier to navigate now because it's 2 smaller menus rather than 1 really large menu. With this setup, we also now support packs, okay? So I want to jump down to the bottom, but we are talking about the pose and animate section, okay? If I click on content packs, oh, by the way, boom. You see how it moved with the body? Yes, that means it's rigged. Yeah, okay. So that's all that was. To show you that it is rigged, and it would, if it wasn't rigged, it wouldn't move. The deity arms wouldn't move with the character if it wasn't rigged, right? Okay. A-pose, back to normal. Content packs, super, super cool. Now the community can make content packs for posting and animating and share them and load them, right? And we're going to have a bunch that come out for you guys to have fun with in tests of like well over 1,000. We just converted like 1,000 something different animations and poses for you guys to have fun and experiment with. And he made a bunch of custom ones that you can't just get, right? It's basically only for you guys, which is super cool, right? Anyway, load content pack, click on that. Now I have a folder here where I have 2 packs in here for you guys to see. So if I load this and I click on Superhero Animation Pack, install, all this thing does is gives you a little pop-up here that says content pack loaded, just to let you know. And right here where it says current file, it's going to have these 2, but if you give it a quick little refresh, and then we switch to animate because it was an animation pack, superhero animations, there they are. Click on superhero animations, and if I click on one of them, it applies the superhero animation, okay? Right click, apply animation, And if I hit play down here, or space, play or space, it's going to start the animation, okay? The first thing you might wonder is, hey, what the heck? My computer is lagging. All right. It is computer dependent. Animations are heavy, right? They're heavy. It's a lot of frames that your computer has to process. And this is not a video game. This is actual 3D software. So it's very, very heavy. The solution for you guys is to switch your viewing modes if you want to view what's going on. So right up here, you have 4 little dots. If you switch to this gray full one, it removes all the color, all of the texture. That way, it's basically the perfect scenario for you to view the actions of your clone during an animation, okay? And this is your little timeline here at the bottom, kind of like any video you've ever watched ever. Just put it back to the beginning, but you also can slide to see all the frames, right? And then when you're done, and you're like, not that one, you can just switch back and you're good, right? And then if you're done with playing with animations, you just go back to A pose or whatever you want to use, and that's it. You're pretty much good to go. It's that simple, right? We also have a, how would you pronounce it? Chibi pack, right? We just thought it'd be a super fun idea to release a chibi pack that manipulates the size of your clone. So, I mean, I think you guys are going to love it. I go here and I click on this. Now, chibi poses are in here because it's not animations, they're poses. And I click on chibi poses. Yo, isn't that crazy? Look at that. It automatically resizes. Dang it. Camera, zoom, hand. There we go. Automatically. Boom. Chibi mode. Different chibi posing. So hilarious. So cool. Right? And then you want to go back to normal, A pose. Boom. Zoom back out. There you go. Okay. Camera. We set up the camera in a very fun, easy to use way. Instead of actually having to manipulate the camera, we've put all the camera manipulation tools into one easy to use area. And we also have a lock. The lock is the clone. Okay. And then you have shifting that allows you to shift away from the clone. Okay. So this is what I mean. Instead of having to actually worry about the XYZ location and shift locations of the clone, ignore the values, ignore them, and just slide around. So what do I mean by that? I mean left click and slide around. Slide your mouse left and right and visually work. I'm a big fan of, instead of looking at the tools, look at your work and then just experiment. Right? Experiment with your angles, experiment with kind of like your feelings and emotions while you're working on the art. And then let's say I don't know, maybe I want a side angle and I want to I don't know, yeah, kind of like this, right? From here, you can see my clone is exiting the boundary of the camera box. Now I do some shift adjustments. A little tip, if you want to make it not so sensitive, hold shift while you're sliding and it reduces the sensitivity of how much it slides. I'm actually gonna go back and I realized, it'd be cooler if I had like a pose action. Yeah, like that. That's just better. Just something quick like this. Focal length it's up a makeshift zoom. If you just Google literally what focal length means, you get a better idea of its effect. But we're using it as a makeshift zoom, and it's just a fun little visual feature that you don't really need to learn about. You can just have fun with, and it's good. It's just good. You can experiment with it and have fun. And this is all you really need. You don't need to actually learn how to position camera. You just slide things around and be like, yeah, that's cool. Anyway, resolution. This one is very straightforward as well. If you want to make a 4K picture, 4000 by 4000. Zoom out a little bit. Your camera box is different now. It's a box. Now your image is different. So maybe do something like this. Maybe we get in there. Maybe I want all the hands in there. let's call it like that. I don't know. Maybe that's what I want. Okay, so now from here, remember what's inside of the box is the picture. Environment. We have two parts of environment now. We have lighting and staging. Right now we have a staging preset we call light catcher, which is just a wall and a floor that just catches the light of your environment. In case you want to do some downward looking stuff and have a light catcher, pick up the world. And also you have a color here, so you can just directly affect that. If you don't like the default purple, you can just change it around. If you don't want it at all, you can just make it black. And now you have the white light reflecting off like a dark floor. If you decide, I don't like the light catcher, you can also switch to skybox. And the skybox will allow you to do things like load images. So, I guess I could just try it. Here, I'm going to give you an example using something you wouldn't really use, but it might be cool. If I load this, I loaded my halo texture, and you might be like, well, nothing happened. Yeah, nothing happened because the background color is black and the mix is 1. So the mix is the mix between your background image and your background color. 1 means 100% black background color. 0 means 100% the picture. So now if I break the camera and I look around, this is the picture of my halo. You can put anything in the picture though, right? You can put a sky, a building, like pictures of buildings, your picture of your family for whatever reason. And you can mix it with that background. So maybe you end up picking a sky and you want it a little darker, you just darken it up a little bit. Maybe you wanted it a little more purple though, like get some purple vibes in there. All right, boom. That's how you adjust your background image with your mix factor, or through your mix factor with your background color. And view this as a percentage between the left and the right, which is your background image and your background color, and then you blend it to what you're looking for. And if you don't want the image in there at all, you just go background color, and now it's whatever color you decide. Very straightforward, right? I want to go over black for this one, just for the drama of this scene, and that's it. That's my staging, and then here are your lights. This is probably the funnest one. And we are going to make light packs later. And then you guys can also make light pack later. So you can do all types of fun lighting stuff. But anyway, here's a bunch of lights. And visually, they are all off except the default lighting. If I turn this off, only things that glow are visual. Okay? So you need to turn some lights on. So now, again, just like everything else, you don't have to really think about it. Just click on things. Let your feelings feel the image. And sometimes you hit on the one and you're like, that's actually pretty dope. And then from there, you can also combine other lights. By clicking on a secondary light, it does not turn off the primary light. You can just keep turning on lights to make whatever combination effect you're looking for. So you can just blindly click on things and feel it out and work. I'm like, maybe not that, maybe that, maybe no. I don't like what that did, and you just keep going through it until you find a combination that you're like, well, that's kind of cool, and you just keep going. And you can also adjust the contrast. We put the portion of Blender that adjusts contrast right here, so you can just click on it and be like, okay, I kind of like high contrast. Well, look what that glow did to the arm right there, Well, not max power. That's kind of cool, a little bit purpley though. Yeah. I kind of like the highlights right there. That's pretty cool too. Well, no, not that. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe this is perfect. I'll stop here. Okay, environment. In the render menu, you have 2 render modes. You have Eevee and cycles. Now this is a new workbench, but this is the primary 2, Eevee and cycles. Most of you are going to use Eevee and never use cycles. If you happen to have a very good graphics card, you can experiment with cycles with your GPU. And you may or may not have to do some adjustments. If you are that person though, and you have a very good graphics card, I would highly recommend you go on YouTube and look up how to set up your computer with that graphics card, okay? Blender is really specifically designed for NVIDIA graphics cards. They literally announced that they are built for specific NVIDIA products in mind as their best pairing. I believe there's even a setting for it. But if you are that invested into 3D modeling where you are getting a very good graphics card to do this type of work, I would recommend you actually learn Blender to the fullest so you can set it up and use those upper end rendering settings, because it's not as straightforward as Eevee. Eevee is like a plugin almost, where it does everything kind of automatically for you and you don't have to really worry about anything and adjust anything. Cycles is like the pro version. Everything's unlocked, and if you don't know how to use Cycles, you're gonna feel like it's bad, like the program is bad, but it's like you just don't know how to use that specific tool set yet because it is complicated. Okay, but we do have the setting in here for those of you who know how to use Cycles, and we have the parts that most people care about because they adjust a lot, which is like your sample amount, and then what device we're using to compute. I don't recommend it. Use Eevee if you are not versed in Cycles. If you are versed in Cycles, you already know what to do. You would go here and you'd start messing with everything you need already in your scene. But for 99% of you who are just first time, on Blender, you're never gonna touch Cycles. Just use Eevee. It's better. It's better for you. Render samples. This is how many times it does a pass, basically. You can think of this as like quality, kinda. And I say kinda because there is a diminishing return. Like, the quality of your image is not going to be better if you set this number to 1,000. It's not. It might have been completed and been rendered perfectly at 50, and you made your computer do another 950 attempts at making the render perfect for nothing. You're giving your computer 64 tries to get this picture rendered perfectly. Okay? On Eevee, 64 is good. Like, you're gonna have it basically doesn't get better. It's perfect at around this. You could even do 10, but 64 is just the standard. Go with 64. Don't touch the render samples unless you know what you're doing with this. This is more of like an advanced feature. So if the quality of your image looks pixely, doesn't look clean, yeah, bump this up. Give this a 200 if it doesn't come out clean, and then it'll try more to get a better picture. That's the most basic way I can explain it to you. But if it comes out perfect and it looks perfect for you at 64, you don't need more than 64, right? You want to increase this number if your render doesn't look good. If it looks pixely, it looks bad. And what I mean by bad is like, hey, it doesn't really match what I see. Then yeah, you need more render samples. You need to give your computer more time to work on it. Now that I went on this whole tangent on the engine portion, back to the easy fun stuff. Click some of these buttons and they do cool things, basically. Enhance reflections, it just enhances the reflections. It makes the reflections kind of shinier. Basically, it's more reflective passes that's occurring. So that's it. And it's better reflections. And it's also a preference. You don't have to turn it on. Like, if you like what it did, turn it on. If you don't like what it did, turn it off. Same for bloom. Bloom makes things glow a little bit more, and it gives you some options. So if default is white, you can turn it to anything you want. Maybe this is a red theme to me, so I'm gonna say bump up the reds a little bit, and you might not notice anything. I'm gonna show you what's happening here near the reflections up at the top. It's making a bloom on this. It happens to be on this image. This area is rendering red a little bit. So it's bumping that red area up because I picked red. If I go to white, like this, that area, it'll bump the whites under there. So again, if you like what it's doing, then you turn it on and you adjust to your liking. If you don't like what it's doing, you turn it off. I kind of like it like, I don't know, somewhere around here. That's cool right there. Boom. Realistic skin. This is a mod of sorts that adjusts the transparency of your skin to make it a little more flesh-like. The focus here is usually the ears. So if I turn this on, and then you adjust, you can see kind of in live real time how the light affects the skin. So then you can kind of find out what you feel is a nice for the render. Because it also looks a little toy-like too. So you have to find the balance of what feels good. I think this feels alright. And then transparent. Transparent ignores your environment basically, and it renders out a blank like this. So it's not going to have these squares. It's going to be a transparent background. So you can go to Photoshop and you can put a different background behind your render or meme it or whatever you want to do. It's just a quick little, yeah, I don't want the background, right? Keep the clone in focus, but I don't want the background. And you can turn that off and on. And that's it. From here, you hit render image. And it renders your image to the box. It ignored my pose. Hold on. And it ignored my pose because when I hit the X right here, it ignored my pose because I was doing way too many examples switching between things. Okay. It's because I need to apply. So we'll go back to, I'm on dropkick, apply pose. Let's try to test that right there. Okay, one more time. What am I doing differently? I have a big feeling it's because of the animation frames. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Drop kick. This will be probably good for you to apply to your renders anyway. I want to explain what I just did to fix. I'm claiming fix before it happens. Okay, so check this out. This typically won't happen in your session. It happened in my session because of the way I'm doing this tutorial. When you right click and you apply an animation, it covers these frames here, right? And that's when you're dragging through, you could see all the different frames, right, of the animation. Okay. When you want to go back to something else, you might click on it and it's going to visually appear here because that's what you're telling it to do, but it doesn't mean that the frames are not there, okay? So the frames from whatever action you're doing are still going to be there because you told them to be there from your animation. How do we get rid of that? We can quickly just drag this up. Click on this area here. And you want to go to either dope sheet or non-linear animation. And I'm going to go to both so you can see which one it's in. So if I go to dope sheet, it might not be in here, or it might be in here. We can switch to action editor. It's not in there either. And I'm showing you all of these menus because depending on how a person makes their animation, it could be in one of these 3 or 4 locations. The first location being just the default timeline, right? Because I know it's not in here, I can't see it in here. I know that it's not in here, right? And there's nothing to see. Otherwise, you would see like a bar or dots or something would be here, and there's nothing in here. So I know it's not in timeline. I know it's not in dope sheet because there's nothing in here. And I also switch this to action editor because sometimes people save it as an action. It's also not in here. So then the last place I check is non-linear animations. And there it is. That is my animation. So if I decide to delete this right here and remove and yeah, there we go. I right click and I hit remove. Now it is not here. Now if I go back to default timeline and I bring this back down and I give this a little scroll through, look at that. Now it doesn't have an animation because we deleted the animation. Okay, so yeah, we did all of that so I can show you a render image of the pose in its correct form of what you see, which is a good lesson for me to catch in this video example so you don't run into that mistake. If you apply animations and they happen to not remove, you have to go in and remove them. And the first place I would check is non-linear animations from now on. And then check the others through this like long video example that I'm showing you. But non-linear animations, it should appear there because that one we built appeared there. But if it doesn't appear there because Mixamo built it in a different way when we were importing, check those other places, delete them, and then now your poses will work again. If I switch to another pose, and I'm going to switch to another pose, I'm going to change the camera up real quick, just so we can see to make sure everything's working. That's kind of weird, but okay. Maybe give it some zoom like that. Make it not so weird. That is weird though. It's a weird picture. It's like I'm skiing, but I'm not. Okay, render image. This is the actual way to render image. This is the shortcut. Zoom out. There we go. It works. Okay, and then image save. That is how you save your image. And then it'll save wherever you want to save it. I'm just going to save it to my Clone Tools file. I'm going to open that file up. And then I see the untitled file right here. And it is a 4K image. That's why it's huge. This right here, we also have a quick little export buttons. And model only will make it so it doesn't export other things in the scene, just your clone. If you want to export the whole scene, you just leave it unchecked. Right? That's all this does. And then these are quick little shortcut buttons that do this. File, export, FBX, GLB, and OBJ is called Wavefront. Right? That's these three right here. It's just shortcuts to this right here over here. And a checkbox that makes it so that it exports only this character folder and not everything else, or not just the character folder, and it will export everything depending on if you check this on or off. And content packs, we saw that already. That's what you load your content packs with, all these posing animations. But that is it, guys. That is the entire Clone Tools start to finish walkthrough with some bonus little tips of how I use it in some error handling with the animation data, which is just how Blender works. But yeah, have fun, experiment with the program. I hope that this worked for you. And if you have any questions on things I missed or problems you run into, hit me up. Hit up any of the artifact creators if you want to, and we'll address it and we'll show you guys what the fix is. And if you run into problems, we'll make a new update for it. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a good one. Go make some cool stuff with your clone, guys.